Can I learn Scratch in 7 days? This is the question I've set out to answer, along with my trusty subjects, Perennial and Zeb. What's that, Zeb? You want them to like the video and subscribe to my YouTube channel? Damn, that's crazy. You should like the video and subscribe to my YouTube channel. Anyways, as I quickly learnt on my first foray into Scratch coding, making something is astoundingly easy. Now, making something that works, however, that is another question entirely. Who'd have thought that it takes more than 1 hour to master coding? I'm learning so much already. What we are working on today is how to create multiple levels, or just expand upon existing ones. The basic method to do something akin to this so far has been utilizing the when sprite is touched, do X. But this is very limited and requires player interaction that is both unnecessary and would potentially allow them to skip entire sections of the game. The first method that I'd learned on how to deal with this was using an invisible sprite to instead have when player sprite touches the invisible sprite, do X. This, while on its own not a complete solution, did provide a basis for how to work around the web of code that was required to make the other solution work. The next thing I needed was a map to test this on.
Purple floors, yes, oh, purple, oh, yep, purple jump platforms, yep, oh, more purple, yep, oh, a wall, ooh, walls, yes, ooh, yeah, ooh.
Well, this works pretty well. And it doesn't appear to be ridiculously difficult to extend this to the enemy. We'll get to you soon, Zeb. Don't worry. While this works for the sake of extending existing levels, to create new levels we're gonna need conditions for this sprite to appear. The first option is to consider, if our objective is simply to survive, then we could reasonably ask, how long? And simply enter the answer in a wait block. Okay, don't worry, the concept is sound, and I found the issue right here. But on later levels, I would like it if we could utilize additional conditions. Like for example, it would be nice if we could have Perennial need to collect an item on each stage before the invisible sprite appears. Alternatively, we could just force the player to make Zeb trigger the sprite. However, this may end up beyond my scope, and I found it difficult to implement it consistently. Even if it would fix this issue really easily. No, this doesn't upset me in the slightest. Why do you ask? Another teensy tiny aspect that I haven't mentioned yet. Don't worry, it isn't such a big deal. But I have literally no idea how to reset the position of Zeb. Which means that a poor switch of locations means an instant loss. But it could be worse. I don't know how, but I'm pretty sure it could be worse. Quick, to the next day! The second easiest criteria on my list. Customization. Second only to the mute button. Right? Wrong! This is the single worst idea I have ever had. The idea was simple. Make a couple of different sprites, give them the same code as Perennial, the player sprite, and then I believe the difficult part would be finding a way to switch between them. Which yes, that took a little while. But you know something I forgot about? How, in this beautiful, cursed world, am I supposed to deactivate them? Instead, you go through the menu, select your character, and then begin the game. Yeah, this is a minor problem. Normally in this situation, I'd go for a tutorial. But either this week has made me substantially worse at using search engines, or this is an entirely unsolvable problem that nobody has ever solved. A hypothetical third option would be that I'm just stupid, but that couldn't be true. An idea that I began experimenting with was having a base hitbox sprite and having sprites connect to that for customization. Which, aside from some minor missteps, I began making progress. While this is fairly basic, it was mostly easy to transfer it onto other, more complex customizations. Now, you may be asking, hey, Mizzerius, you made a real big deal about this not 5 sentences ago. Now you're telling us about this simple solution. This is the easiest one. You're just baiting us. Wrong again! I haven't told you about the hard part yet. How is this game supposed to remember what you've chosen? While I have learned how to make Scratch perform consistent checks, I haven't yet learned how to have it remember the previous actions and stick to previous choices. This is the hitch that's making it ridiculously difficult to give players the customization that I want. And I don't really know how to fix that. Yeah, there are some tutorials on how to make a basic memory system, like how to remember what level you're on, stuff like that, you know? Nothing applicable to my situation, and it isn't like I could just apply that logic and simply switch the focus. It's so absurd, who would even try? Huh. As I said earlier, one of the easiest criteria on my list, if not the easiest. Oh, you want a yellow player? Pfft, don't even worry about it. Oh, you want rainbow hair? Not even a singular problem. No, but seriously, I spent hours of my life on this, and it was the first thing that came up. I am the epitome of human intellect. For my customization, I found it easiest to have a base character and give 3 to 5 separate pieces that can be changed. That is because the pressing of these buttons, for me, is fairly important to allow the game to remember these changes, as I have the changes connected both to these along with the sprites themselves. The primary problem with customization is that it creates a large amount of complication, particularly in increased assets, especially for otherwise simplistic projects. Alternatively, you could consider it a fairly simple way for a new developer to try out further complications. But again, this is me, and who wants to learn? Cringe. Putting what we've done so far together, we create a game that looks really epic for the first 30 seconds to a minute, depending on when you click the play button, before Zeb just stops moving because I haven't learned how to loop him yet. Damn it, Zeb!